Tenderhearted, the podcast for those of us who struggle with being extra sensitive in a less than sensitive world. This is your host, Amy Kelso. I'm a writer, speaker, teacher, and advocate for anyone who is tenderhearted or cares about someone who is. Hello and welcome to Tenderhearted. I am your host, Amy Kelso. Today I want to talk about the topic of love, romantic love, and some of the difficulties that you may run into if you are tenderheart. One of the things with tenderhearts is we are very feeling people. All of our emotions are heightened, right? And including, and probably especially, the feeling of love. We care about people, compassion. Everybody that we meet, there's a certain level of love for, right? We care about them. We want to help them. Oftentimes we end up in situations where, yes, we kind of gather in people who need extra support, which is a beautiful, wonderful thing. What can happen, though, for us tenderhearts is that when we do get into a romantic relationship, sometimes we still bring over those helping aspects. So we find somebody who needs help, needs support, needs extra love. We're so happy to give that, and that's a wonderful thing. But what happens a lot of times is because of that, we get into more one-sided relationships where we are giving and giving and giving because it is in our nature to give, but that doesn't necessarily ensure that the other person is giving equally. One of the things that really struck me lately that I've heard was that people generally don't create reflective relationships. They create complementary ones. So a lot of times we've been told, do unto others as you would like to be done unto you, which is a great thing. Golden rule, definitely. And that is important. Obviously, treat others how you want to be treated. But what we don't necessarily realize is that just because you treat others how you want to be treated does not guarantee that they're going to treat you the same way. So a lot of times people model what you want. If you want compassion, show compassion. If you want respect, show respect. If you want love, show love. So we do all that. We say, oh, I want love. I want compassion. I want respect. I want someone who will listen to me. So we give that, and we give it, and we give it. And a lot of times, because we're giving those kind of things, we end up with someone who wants compassion, wants love, wants to be listened to, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that they're willing to do the same thing. So there are other issues, and we can get into more detail, that can happen in a relationship with a tender heart, but this is the first kind of thing to keep in mind. Because as a tender heart, you may be very caring and giving and want to help other people, doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to end up with people who want the same things, unless you are very consciously aware of that and looking for that in the other. The problem is a lot of times we don't, because we try to see the best in people. One of the things I think that we've learned as tender hearts for a very young age is don't judge people, right? Accept people as they are. Don't make judgments about them, which is a beautiful thing. You should not be judging people for things that don't matter. So, you're not going to judge people because they maybe have a messy house or, whatever. Superficial things you shouldn't judge people on. But the fact is that we all judge people to some extent, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's what you judge people on. So, for example, I do judge people on how they treat their waitress or waiter, or people in retail, how you treat just people in general, how you treat animals, what things you're interested in, what things you're not interested in. There are things that we judge people on, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially once you end up getting into a romantic relationship. You do need to have some bit of judgment to be able to decide, is this a person I want to spend a lot of time with and possibly my whole life with, right? So there are some judgments you need to make. And when you are saying, well, I don't want to judge people, which is good in general for people, but then you end up getting into a relationship that may not be satisfying for you because you've been trying not to judge them, but then you didn't judge them on the things that matter to you. Like, are they going to be there for you? Are they going to listen to you? Are they going to reciprocate what you give to them? Things like that it does matter, and it is important that you make those judgments, ideally before you get too far into the relationship, because then once you get too far in, you end up finding yourself saying, "Ah, but I love them." And so you put up with a lot of things maybe you shouldn't because you have that feeling of love. But before you get to that point, it's important to establish, are they someone that is worth falling in love with? Just some words of caution. We'll talk more in other episodes about love, and specifically one that we'll get into is the attraction between empaths and narcissists, which there's a whole lot I could talk about with that, but I'm not going to get into that today, but that may be a future one. So hang on, wait for that one. And again, as always, if you have any comments, please add them below, and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.